What's going on, guys? Army-Firedawg is back again, and today I finally have the review time for you of the flagship amplifier of the Schiit brand. And I'm of course talking about no other than the Ragnarok. And very similar to the Yggdrasil review that I just finished, it's so big and heavy I'm not going to have it like physically here on me for the review, but I will of course put a bunch of pictures throughout the video for reference. So of course, like with all my reviews, I like to start with the construction of which, and then I'll work my way down from there. And the construction of the Ragnarok, just like the Yggdrasil, is absolutely top-notch. The entirety of this amplifier is aluminum. You have aluminum top, front, and bottom plates. The sides and back is also aluminum, but it's much thinner. That helps with the heat dissipation, as well as on the top and the sides. There's also some passive heat vents, so some of that heat can't escape. Now, with that, I will have to note that I've been seeing a lot of the forums and a lot of jokes that go around is that the Ragnarok gets so hot that you can fry eggs on them. Yes, it's made in satire, it's just meant as an example of that it gets hot. But from my experience, and I've had that thing plugged in for probably about 3 weeks now, non-stop. And yeah, it's warm, but it's not that hot. Like my Audio GD amp, if y'all remember way back when, that got much hotter than the Ragnarok. So Ragnarok's really not that bad. And also, which I kind of should have started this up front, but I would like to give another heartfelt thank you to Schiit. Guys, I truly appreciate all you guys have done for sending me the Schiit kit for the CanFest 6 audio meet. Every Schiit product went over extremely well. Y'all's Loki Mini was pretty well accepted. Ragnarok and Yggdrasil, of course, was going to be the heavy hitters. A lot of stuff was tried out on it. But just your all's willingness and friendliness and just open arm support y'all gave for the audio community and this little small meet that was put together, it means a lot. So from my just personal feelings, I would like to give a heartfelt again thank you, and it really went a long way, all you guys did, so again thank you. But getting back to the review, so there's plenty of connections, so you shouldn't have any issues whatsoever in connecting it. You have ample inputs, ample outputs, and speaker outs. Like actual, not speaker pre-outs, but actual speaker taps. So the Ragnarok can handle up to, I believe if from memory, it's 60 watts into an 8 ohm load. And that is ridiculous for an headphone amplifier to do. That is very impressive. Now, to disclaim, I never personally used a speaker for the entirety of my review. Not for lack of wanting to, just I physically don't have any speakers other than Bluetooth at my house. If you read my full written review, which is of course linked in the description down below, I talk about the features and construction separately, but I kind of combine it in the video review because it does kind of go hand in hand. But a really cool feature that's inside the Ragnarok that you can't see is that they have a 64-step attenuator, and I'm not an engineer, so this is from how I believe it is, but it's a check system for how much power can be put forth. So this is how the Ragnarok can power some super hungry orthodynamics like Odysseys and Hi-Fi Mans very easily, or something as sensitive as my custom inner monitors, the Hermes 6, that are, y'all should probably know, it's unanimous on the forums, and from what I've said myself, Empire Ears products are very sensitive. So they pick up pretty much all hiss from about anything unless you use a buffer jack. But with the Ragnarok, so when I tested out my customs, I started by putting the gain switch down to the lowest setting and turning the volume knob all the way down. I let that rest for a couple seconds in case I had to do something inside of it to make sure it's fully reset. And then from there, I plugged my customs in, put them into my ears, and pushed play. It was coming through very cleanly. Yes, there was still some notable hiss. With using a buffer jack, that went away, but just the Empire Ears plugged into a 1/4 inch adapter jack, there was still some notable hiss. Like I did hear it even up until I had to turn it up some. And the attenuators, which again, I'm not an engineer, but just how I imagine that works just from reading it and what I experienced, it's like each attenuator presents a certain amount of fraction, like 1/64th of the total power the Ragnarok can put out. So I was actually able to turn that up on my customs to about halfway. I was really wanting to listen to a song. Yes, it was loud, but not to the point where I was like, oh, I'm about to blow my drivers. No, just a comfortable, loud level. And it came through like very controlled. It's very impressive that the sense of driver control that the Ragnarok bestows. So Schiit going that extra step to put a 64-step attenuator, that is really impressive. I didn't really know much about attenuators until I read about it and what it really does. And again, I'm still not an expert, it's just what I've kind of picked up. That is very appreciated from IMs to speakers. Now, moving on to the sound, go figure, is the sound to my ears is non-existent. Now, what I mean by that is no, the Ragnarok doesn't do anything, no. It's just, to my ears, to date, regardless of price point, the Schiit Ragnarok is the most transparent amplifier I have ever heard, regardless of price. And yes, I have heard, unlike Yggdrasil, I have heard much more expensive products. But to my ears, nothing has been more transparent than that of the Ragnarok. Regardless of what headphones I put through, I couldn't hear any bias that the Ragnarok gave. Now, again, that is to my ears, and I want to stress this, because I asked a couple people who listened to it at the audio meet, and they said it sounded shouty. I'm not a professional, so had to ask what shouty was, and to them, they said it's a notable forwardness in the mid-treble range. I personally couldn't hear that. All the headphones I tried, from the HD800S, the Odyssey HE560, Audio-Technica W5000 and ADX5000s, etc., everything sounded just so... Well, I only heard what the headphone sound was. Like the ADX5000s and the HD800S, I've tried those for an extensive amount of time, and I know how they sound, and to my ears, I only heard the headphones. Like, the amp just completely disappeared, which makes me believe that the Ragnarok is, from my findings that I've heard, the epitome of what a purist amplifier is. It's a solid state, so you're not going to get any of that distortion that tubes give, and it's just very clean. Everything comes through, not necessarily as it was recorded in the studio, which I guess that technically was, but it just sounds lifelike. You're physically there. Yes, you do need the best recordings to get that sense, but with that, there's no hint of bias to the music. And I thought my HDVD 800 was a very transparent amp until I heard the Ragnarok. And now the HDVD 800 adds a little bit of coldness. It's a little bit of a treble bias. And saying that actually makes me find that the Ragnarok, to me, and of all the products I've heard, the Ragnarok has been the epitome, or is, rather, to me, the epitome of what a purist amplifier is. It is not musical by any means of the words. It is not a musical amplifier. It's straight to business powerhouse that presents its music as transparently and as true original as I have personally ever heard. Which made me kind of reference my Hi-Fi Man Edition X review. If you remember that, shameless plug, I stated that the Hi-Fi Man Edition X is kind of like that coworker you work with that is just really good at what they do. I mean, they have a job and they do it above and beyond what their pay grade is. Like, they have it mastered. However, they don't really have a personality to them. Like, when you go to talk to them and you kind of socialize, it's just a blank stare, essentially. They don't have a good personality. It's just work, and then they go home. That's pretty much what the Ragnarok is as well. It does its job. When you want something presented accurately, you want true, you want reference quality, you have the Ragnarok. For something more enjoyable, more personality, you have like other tube amps or several other options to choose from. But the Ragnarok is for pure accuracy. When listening to it, it is a very detail-given amplifier. As in, when I was listening to it, and to get rid of the potential bias results, I tried the Ragnarok with, of course, the Yggdrasil DAC, I tried it with the iFi DAC, I tried it with my PS Audio DAC, and then vice versa, I tried said DACs with other amplifiers to see if I can still get that same level of detail retrieval, and I never could. The Ragnarok presented so much detail in the music. Everything just sounded so finite and crisp and just well controlled, especially on the bass. The bass on everything I listened to, it just got tighter, it got more controlled, it had more impact to it, and it wasn't like something like mind-blowing, no, but for going from other top-of-the-line products to the Ragnarok, it's a notable improvement of just control of your headphones and the audio you're going through. And in addition to the bass, I also noticed, and again, this could just be me not or paying more attention or hearing it better, but cymbals. Cymbals sounded so clean, and just the I don't know if it's a resonance. I don't know how you describe it. When you hit a cymbal, whether it be a drumstick or when they're actually hit together, just through the Ragnarok, that ring sounded like I was physically there. And during my years back at band and a couple, very, very few concerts, like probably literally 2 I've been to, it sounded true. I've never heard cymbals or that upper treble register sound so true and clean as I have on the Ragnarok. So it's, again, a very accurately presentation. Now, with all that being said, on my personal note, and this is just my sayings, is the Ragnarok, believe it or not, as good of an amp as it is, it just didn't do it for me personally. And again, let me say that is a matter of personal taste. It is not a bad amplifier, as I'm hoping I'm getting across. It is by far, to date, the best, purest amplifier I've ever heard, bar none. But it was too dry of a taste for me. And I have learned by listening to this, I really enjoy that musicality and I guess distortion that tube amps give. I like that, I guess, warm bias that some amplifiers give. When I went to plug into the Ragnarok during my review, I always enjoyed it, as in I liked hearing more, like the finite details of things I'd never heard before, having those, ooh, I never heard that before moments, but it never really, put a smile on my face. It's just for me personally, like when I tried other more musical amps. So if you are like myself and you like more of the musical experience, the Ragnarok may not quite do it for you. And like I said, it's a very, I hate using the word dry, but I guess that is actually a pretty good way to describe it. It's a very dry amplifier. It's purest. It's as accurate as it can be with no bias to my ears heard towards the music. But to conclude, guys, I know I think going back on this one, I've kind of jumped a few places a little bit. I've really tried to keep my thoughts in line. I even have my review right here in front of me as I'm going over the notes. But describing an amplifier on video, I guess it's a lot easier on paper, is very difficult to really portray other than just saying, it's great. Especially when I don't have any, like other amplifiers, they add certain this, they add certain that I can mention. With the Ragnarok, it's just, it disappears. It goes away into the music. And so it made it very difficult, but I was able to relay what the Ragnarok is. It's an amplifier that, to me, if I had to put it in terms, it reminds me of like an African elephant. It's massive, it's beautiful to look at, it's incredibly intelligent, and despite all of the just overwhelming power, it's able to control its strength and then finesse it with whatever comes through. It's able to give just the right amount of push to whatever it needs to, whether it be power it or, finesse it. Its ability to control its strength is just exactly reminiscent of what I've seen in an elephant, that one of the most majestic creatures God has ever put on this planet. I have tried amplifiers costing quite a bit more money, and they of course make headphones costing several times the amount of money, but I honestly cannot believe that they would sound much, if at all, better than what the Ragnarok has accomplished in a purist mindset of being accurate, transparent, and just dissipating into the audio that's coming through. So for that, you have done a wonderful job at the Ragnarok. And it's one of them I've said very rarely, but the cost, yes, $1,700 is very expensive. It is truly a top-of-the-line product that for those of you who are in a spot where you can afford Ragnarok, you all have yourselves a fantastic product that you probably don't even have to upgrade from. You might want to complement it if you want a musical product like a tube amp, but in terms of a purist, stereotypical audiophile amplifier, you're probably not going to find much better. Anyway, guys, so that's all for the review of the Schiit Ragnarok. I have really enjoyed my time with it, and though, again, it just wasn't the best for me, I didn't personally fall in love with the amp, just for my personal tastes. I cannot stress how impressive it was and how well it was received on the audio meet with other people and all their top-of-the-line products. But if any of you guys have any questions, or if there's anything I may have missed that you'd like me to clarify more, I know I really feel like I was scatterbrained on this review. But please, if I've missed anything, or if you would like me to clarify, please hit me in the comments down below. I will reply to every one of you and hopefully be able to explain it a lot better. But anyway, guys, my name is Army-Firedawg. It has truly been a pleasure. And most importantly, and please I ask my friends, stay safe.